1.7 multi-step inequalities. So multi-step inequalities are very similar to equations. So just like you were taught how to isolate the variable with equations, the only difference is that we have an inequality symbol, but you do everything else the same except for one tiny step. So to start on this one, we're going to get t all by itself. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. 4t is greater than, and then 21 minus 9, 12. If this were an equation, you would divide both sides by 4, so that's exactly what you do with this inequality. And you get t is greater than 3. Express this solution on a number line. T is greater than, so it's an open circle, and it points in the direction of the shading. So the shading goes this way. So now we have the next one, which I'll have to erase this a little bit. Negative 6a minus 7 is less than or equal to 17. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And I get negative 6a is less than or equal to 24. Now the only difference between solving equations and solving inequalities is when you come across a step where you have to divide both sides by a negative number. So if you look here, if I need to get a all by itself, I need to divide both sides by a negative 6. So anytime you have to divide or multiply by a negative number, there's a little trick that you have to do, and you flip the inequality symbol. Notice it was less than or equal to, now it's greater than or equal to, and this turns into a is greater than or equal to negative 4. So if I put my number line solution over here, put negative 4 in the middle, since it's greater than or equal to, it's a closed circle, and greater than points in this direction. Okay, next one. Writing and solving inequalities. In a community garden, you want to fence in a vegetable garden that is adjacent to your friend's garden. You have at most 42 feet of fence. What are the possible lengths of your garden? So if we think about rectangles in the area, finding the perimeter of a garden or of a rectangle, in this case it's garden, the perimeter would be 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Well, we know that the width is 12. So our garden's perimeter is going to be 2 times the length plus 2 times 12. They tell us we have at most 42 feet of fence, so that is inequality language there. So at most, our perimeter is going to be 42, so maybe I'll put that here. It can be up to 42, but nothing greater than, because we only have 42 feet of fence. So it has to be less than or equal to 42. So 2L plus 2 times 12 is 24. Now if I solve for L, it's going to tell me the possible lengths of my garden. Subtract 24 from both sides, and I get 2L is less than or equal to 18. Divide both sides by 2. And the possible length of my garden could be anything less than or equal to 9. So I could have 1 foot length, 2 foot, 3 foot, all the way up to 9 foot length with that amount of fence. Now we can solve multi-step inequalities when we've got distributive property involved, same as equations. We're going to simplify first by using distributive property. So negative 2 times 4m, negative 8m, negative 2 times 7 minus 14. Combine like terms, 5 minus 14, negative 9. Add 9 to both sides. 24 is less than or equal to negative 8m. Get m all by itself by dividing both sides by negative 8. Notice dividing by a negative. Flip the sign when you're dividing by a negative. So this turns into negative 3 is greater than or equal to m. Put that solution on a number line. And then some people like flipping this so they can read it a little better. Just make sure if you flip the variable and the number, that you also have to flip the sign again. It gets a little confusing. So m is less than or equal to, closed circle, -3. Less than goes in the left-hand direction. Variables on both sides, just like solving equations. Let's move the smaller variable first. 3n minus 1 is greater than or equal to 8. Add 1 to both sides. 3n is greater than 9. Divide both sides by 3. I am not dividing by a negative, so I can keep the inequality as is. N is greater than 3. So put that solution on a number line. Greater than means open circle. Greater than goes to the right. Last types you will see have special solutions. So if I solve this first one, watch what happens. So I've got 10 minus 8a is greater than or equal to distributive property. 10 minus 8a. Notice they're identical on both sides. If I didn't know that and I just moved my smaller variable, and then I got 10 is greater than or equal to 10, this is a true statement, which means, oh, I just wrote student. That's awesome. I'm dumb. True statement, which means all solution, infinitely many solutions, however you'd want to write that. Okay? Pause this if you want to write it into your notes because I'm about to erase it. All right, next one. You watch what happens with this solution. 9 plus 5n is greater than or equal to 5n minus 1. Move the smaller variable. In this case, there isn't one, but just move one of them. And you're going to get 9 is less than or equal to -1. When you land on a false statement, not student, statement, that means no solution.